us all this time. We thank you for your guidance, your care, your provision, everything, Lord my God. You are God of gods, King of kings, God Almighty, and that's why the founding members of our country put this nation into your hands, for which we are so grateful. Because we put by our national anthem and by our motto, we put Uganda in your hands. And we want to thank you because we know whatever challenges we've gone through, you have been with us. You have made us have a journey. We were talking of the 6th Parliament, the 4th, the 5th. That shows the journey which you have given to us ever since our forefathers, our founders of this nation, put this nation into your hands. We want to ask you, Lord my God, to forgive us. Because for sure, although we say for God and our country, which means that whatever we do, we must do it for God and our nation, our people. We have failed you so much in this area. But because you are a loving God who has mercy, who forgives all the time, we come in your presence because your word says that when we sin and we ask for forgiveness, you are faithful and just. You forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all our unrighteousness. And so, Lord my God, as leaders in this country, of course we lead, some of us continue to lead, but we have gone astray, we have made people cry, we have committed so many sins, immorality, corruption, idolatry, all these things, Lord my God, we stand here as leaders to acknowledge and recognize that we have offended you and made you angry. And no wonder many things are happening. So now we have an opportunity as the past leaders who think we have been part of building of this nation, Lord my God, to bow before you and say, forgive us, Lord. Forgive us, Lord. Forgive us, King of Kings. Forgive us, Lord. We have done evil in your sight. We have shed blood. We have been greedy. We've been all these things, Lord my God. But here we are. We repent on behalf of this nation and on behalf of ourselves. And we ask you, Lord my God, to forgive us. And today, we thank you for bringing us together as former leaders who still have love and concern for our nation. Your word says that we should not give up meeting with one another. And now that I'm making this prayer, I want my colleagues to note this one and remember it. Because it's when we are together, united together, sharing ideas and wisdom and challenges, that we get solutions to move us forward. And therefore, thank you for gathering us together. I want to commit this meeting in your hands, Lord. I want to thank you for sustaining us. Some of us, we are still alive. Many people died, but we are still alive. Who are we? In fact, when we are still alive, it means each of us who is still here has not yet finished realizing their purpose, which you created them for. And so today, Lord my God, as we gather, we invite you in our presence. May you be the one to guide us. May you be the one, the leader of this agenda. Because your word says that man plans, but God directs the path. Now that finally this meeting, which has been planned for some time, is here now, we invite you to be the ruler, to guide the steps, because you are always the controller in everything. Guide this meeting, guide the agenda, give us wisdom, give us knowledge, give us understanding. May you release your Holy Spirit to govern the whole process so that by the end of our meeting, we shall have come out with things or words or whatever is that glorifies your name and that will give us a direction so that as former leaders, we should have a platform where to have a voice and be able to influence a direction in this country. We thank you, Lord. We bless your name and we believe you have heard us. And when you hear us, you answer us. And therefore we say thank you. We believe you by faith because we have prayed through Jesus Christ our Lord.
That those of you who have been keenly following our debates on the platform, you could have noted that there were some very strong legal issues that would impede our sitting here without legal challenges. On consultations with the legal brains within our fraternity, we were advised that we could have another way to mitigate this, thrown to the members of parliament, and if the discussions allow the progress, then the disposal of this motion will allow us to proceed with the normal business and save baby Pau from being thrown away with the dirty waters. So it is in that spirit that members have appended their signatures on the petition seeking the decision of this House to constitute ourselves into an extraordinary meeting of Pau to dispose of some of the challenges. So on that note, Honorable Chair, I beg to move a motion that this House constitutes itself into an extraordinary meeting of Pau, listen to the grounds and issues raised in the petition, discuss and resolve them, and we see how we smoothly move to the business of the day without very serious hitches. Madam Chair, I beg to move.
Proceed.
The second has not been called upon to. The second of the motion is Honorable Rosa Cole.
The second of the motion, please. Can you rise? Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. A copy of the petition has been circulated, and if it hasn't reached there, I urge our ushers to make sure that all members who have not received copies of that petition get the text. Madam Chair, the petition is moved in accordance with Article 14(2)(a) of our Constitution, and it requests this meeting, which has been convened today, to sit as an extraordinary general meeting and dispose of some of the issues that are listed below. Noting that the Constitution mandates the holding of an annual general meeting of our association at least once a year, realizing that there has been a prolonged period without holding the AGM, which has hindered our ability as members to meaningfully execute our respective roles and initiatives that would benefit all members. Noting that it's a constitutional requirement to renew the mandate of office bearers every 2 years. Noting further that the Council has continued to perform duties and execute its mandate beyond the constitutional term. Observing that full membership of this forum to enable members to execute and make decisions in this meeting requires payment of subscription and annual membership, which has not been complied with by all the members. Realizing that the above-mentioned challenges, among others, impede the convening of an ordinary general meeting, it is therefore against that background that the concerned members whose signatures are appended hereunder petition the chairperson to convene an extraordinary meeting to discuss and resolve those underlying constitutional challenges and finally generate a harmonized way forward to give way to executing the business before us today. Honorable members, many of you have been able to read through our Constitution, realize that there are two major emerging issues there. One is the legality of the Executive Committee to continue transacting business outside the term of office, and the sitting here of us members to deliberate and make substantive decisions when we are not fully paid up members as required by the Constitution. But we are guided by the legal brains that in accordance with the Constitution, this meeting, constituted as it is, can make a special resolution to validate the activities that have been taking place by the executive and waive the requirement of members to first pay their subscription and annual membership fees and preserve all of the activities that have been undertaken by the executive, including the initiation of the annual general meeting, which will climax into the election of office bearers. If it's the wish of the members here, we pronounce ourselves that we have agreed in principle for this particular meeting alone to proceed and save our baby Pau under the circumstances that have been listed in the petition above. It's against that background, Honorable Chair, that we appeal to members to listen with a heart that wants to save Pau, because all of us really have a very strong feeling, and that's why many of you are here. Others came yesterday. And it's in that spirit that we are urging ourselves to see the best way to move. If it is according to this, since we have the legal brains in the House, they will still also make contribution to guide us whether that's a possible way. Because short of that, if we can't proceed, then it means we are cutting short the life of our cherished baby, who is already suffering from teething problems. Honorable Chair and members, I beg to move. Honorable Cole, the seconder.
Honorable Cole Rose, the seconder of the motion.
Honorable Chair and honorable members present here, distinguished members of the Parliamentary Alumni Association. Once more, I'm Cole Rose Okulu. I served in the 8th and 9th Parliament and currently serving at the East African Legislative Assembly, representing this country with my 8 other colleagues. 2 are present here, and this is my last term at the Arusha Legislative Assembly. Honorable members, distinguished leaders of this country, this petition is, I want to say, it's procedural to regularize, first of all, our meeting here. And as explained by the Honorable Kinobe, there is really nothing much I'm going to add. Only that, yes, it is true, it's been a while since we last did elections of the council. And it was because of circumstances, I want to say, which were beyond us. 2019, 2020, 2021 was a very challenging period when we had COVID-19 with its restrictions. It was therefore very difficult for formal meetings like this to be held physically. And I want to say it was one of those reasons that we could not meet. But as I said, this is a procedural matter. As legislators, we have to regularize where we see there could be some shortcomings, and this is what we're doing. So that, one, of course, today, this meeting must take place, whether you are paid up or not. Then 2, to allow the current council to conduct this meeting, but at the end of the day, we conduct elections to have the new people with a new mandate in accordance with our constitution. So basically that, I don't think there's anything outside what has been said for this extraordinary meeting, first of all, for regularization, and then we proceed with our annual general meeting. So I want to thank you, honorable members, for having made it here and for listening to me as well as a seconder to this petition. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Akoros, for the secondment of the motion, and Honorable Chinobe as the chief petitioner. Members, you have heard the merits. Concerned members of the association who petitioned the executive to hold this extraordinary general meeting. Can you join me in applauding them? Thank you very much, because if you had not done that quick decision, it would have mutilated many things that could prevent the smooth running of the parliamentary alumni. We are having this extraordinary general meeting because we could not hold our regular AGM for the following reasons. COVID-19 pandemic with an associated national lockdown affecting us countrywide and widely for nearly 2 years, limited the number of people who could gather at a particular location venue, thus adversely affecting the capacity of the executive committee to organize and call for the AGM in line with our constitution. Lockdown in Uganda stretched from 18th March 2020 to later than 10th January 2022 when the schools opened. Worse still, the COVID-19 aftermath, which included testing marathons who dragged the ability to carry out an AGM. These procedures were so costly and could not be applicable to the category of poor financially. If you remember very well, I am private to these experiences because I was a member of SEC, and I remember the many times that we had to stall the meetings because of this challenge. The stigma of losing loved ones, let alone economic losses due to the lockdown of economic activities, troubled many people all around the world in this case, and we are no exception. People mourned for the untimely and numerous deaths of loved ones and livelihoods. This required time to heal and come back to their feet, where others have not up to now. Remember, honorable members, we had different waves of COVID, and even when we came out of COVID, you remember how much it had hit us, especially economically. And convening members immediately to come and have a meeting was really a nightmare. You can see up to now we have not totally recovered from this economic challenge brought by COVID-19. Ebola outbreak, this also affected the plan, and arrangements to come together as fraternity since travel bans were put in place as well, limiting movement and also fear of infection from victims. This outbreak was in the period between 20th September 2023 and 10th January 2024, affecting mainly the western and central regions of the country. As you may recall, honorable members, this also followed COVID. And as such, we are already a very vulnerable age. You don't leave Parliament when you are a young person. And these vulnerabilities of Ebola and COVID were mainly attacking people of our age. It wouldn't have been wise to call members and subject them to this challenge. Because you remember we have also had our own members from the parliamentary alumni that died of these diseases. 5, delayed response from international guest speaker. There was an arrangement to host Dr. Arikana Chihombori Kwao, former African Union representative to the US, as our guest of honor. But due to unavoidable circumstances, there was a delay in confirmation of availability, thus dragging the planning and preparation. It is during this period of uncertainty that volunteers came up with developing the symposium setting it up as an alternative. This once again saw the executive postpone the AGM. You have heard a mention of Honorable Perez about the symposium. But I want to tell you, honorable members, that your executive has been meeting almost every quarter, sometimes even more than once. And every time we would meet, we would even share what we have discussed about in our meetings to the platform of the alumni. You remember we posted and informed you in 2023, since there was no longer COVID and Ebola had gone, we are going to have a general meeting in 2023, which was going to combine the two, the symposium and the AGM. And we had that meeting in October. We agreed to November. And we had a very heated debate, but the more voices were for the international presenter, though initially we had talked about the local presenters. The international presenter took the day, and this was the lady I have just read to you about that was decided on to come and be with us for our AGM and in the symposium and present to us. We wrote to her early November, and as we were still waiting for her response, we saw it on the platform of the alumni. So the food was served before it was ready, and volunteers came up to take on the symposium. And we said, okay, the symposium, it can go along with the volunteers. And as you can see, the executive supported the symposium. It went on smoothly, and it was a very big achievement. Can we give an applause to the symposium? So what I want to emphasize here, and I heard Honorable had kind of raised it, this was a brain by the parliamentary executive, but someone quickly came up to volunteer to do it, and it was okay to have it. So having had that challenge of immediately having the symposium at the same time have the AGM, that's why this one had to come later, which necessitated giving a notice to members to now come and have a general election, which was stipulated to take place today, and which we pray that later on you will allow it to happen so that we can have fresh mandate and move on together to continue to grow the association. Number 6, reluctance of members to pay membership and annual subscription fees. The number of fully registered members against the total numbers of former MPs is so small and still wanting. This shows a hesitancy on the part of members' participation in the activities of the association. Honorable members, as you must have observed, or as if you can recall, when we had our annual general meeting, we first had, as we were corrected, a reunion which took place at Silver Springs, which was very massive, if you remember. And we made a decision that we hold another one before the end of the year, which took place in December. And that's when we constituted ourselves into the parliamentary alumni, and that's when we were elected. But we have since called members to pay the membership fee. And naturally, we should have been self-driven. There are things which we must do, should be self-driven about. And membership is one of them. But when you look at the list of the members that contributed, the executive should do its part, but even us as individual members, let's do our part. All these meetings we have had have been self-supported and self-sponsored. People have been volunteering for all these, because there is nothing to help in the running of this association. So I want to adhere and ask all of us also to adhere to make sure that let's do our part, and also let the executive do their part, because we might not do our part as members, which eventually cripple also the work that the executive would be doing. And it could be understandable. We know economics are hard for many of us as members here. We know they are hard, but we should always try to also meet our obligations. Insensitive utterances from some members in certain circumstances jeopardize the attainment of the strategic objectives of PAO, since such overt attacks on personalities disrupt unity and can lead to a collapse of our association. Honorable members, as you know, we all need positive energy. You know the reasons why this association was started. If I can remind you, for those who never attended yes, but there are some members who have just joined the parliamentary alumni and they may not have that background. And it is important that they come on board because this is the only time I can talk to you as an outgoing chairperson. And I'm the one with a substantive report of what we have been doing. So, honorable members, it is important that we try to respect each other. Mutual respect is very important. We should have decorum because we have been high up here, so that whatever we do does not threaten the existence of this child. We have different cohorts of parliament. We have the first parliament, second, third, up to 10th parliament, which brings together about 1,342 members of parliament. And when we're doing our harmonization, which is here in this booklet before you here, we have 1,142 former members of parliament. That is from the first parliament to the 10th parliament. If you go into this book, all your names are there. But some of those since died, and we are continuing to update so that we know the actual number. I recently was asked by the Parliament to provide this, and I hope members will also help us to update it so that when we give to Parliament the status of the former MPs, it is a respectable document. I began with the challenges, but let me run quickly through the achievements or the things we have done as executive. One, we have now a constitution of the parliamentary alumni, which was circulated on our platform. I think many of you saw it. You know, we have now a constitution of the Parliament of Uganda. We have a strategic plan. I want to appreciate Honorable Ruindi, who led us in the promulgation of our constitution. Can we give him and his committee a big appreciation? We have a strategic plan which will guide us as an alumni. This is a very big achievement. Can we congratulate ourselves? I want to thank Honorable Mary Amajo. Can you please stand for recognition? She played a very, very big role in having this strategic plan done. We had a full one-day workshop in Duomo, discussing the workshop, discussing the strategic plan. And we formed the working groups. There are 5 working groups, and these working 5 groups are under the 5 strategic objectives that are in our strategic plan, which I think is in your files, and you can refer to them. We even constituted membership to these committees, and some of you are on those committees. I will request my team to circulate a list of those working groups so that at the end of the day, the members also can show interest on which committees they want to serve. But of course, that is now to the new leadership that is going to be coming in, but they are not going to start from scratch. There is something. Honorable members, if I can tell you the story how this sparked off, it was because of my colleague, Honorable Chahugwenda Thompson, which you know, because my name is Chatuheire and he is Chahugwenda. So we are always in a line, you know, of alphabetical order of parliament. And when I was talking to someone, he told me my neighbor had died. And I had not got to know that actually he had died. But the circumstances under which he was sent off, the one which was a turning ground point for me. He was here in hospital. He was not attended to very well. And even when he passed on, I think they had to hurriedly take him for burial. And even when he was taken for burial, they had to summarily bury him because of issues of finance. because of issues of, you know, when you are no longer there and your family cannot stand up to be able to give you a good send-off. And then as executive, we decided that there are 3 things we are going to focus on during our time. And these 3 issues were Akasimo. You remember, every time we would ask anybody, they will tell you the president promised Akasimo, and some were even specifying the figure to 100 million. And we want our Akasimo. The other issue was pension. I was in the 7th and 8th Parliament. We passed a pension law, a pension scheme for members of Parliament. But we did it retrospectively to also cover the 7th Parliament. But the 7th and 8th Parliament are the only beneficiaries of the pension. And it's very, very unfortunate. So the members of Parliament, former members, were requesting that we expand it to include all former members of Parliament, not only the 7th and 8th. I think after, of course, the 9th could be, because the law had been passed in any case. So we decided as executive that we should try to have an inclusive pension for all former members of Parliament, but also enhance it. Because even those ones who are getting it now, it is very little. And we proposed that we put it at 30% of what the current members of Parliament are earning. Then the other was about support to burial expenses. Because we realized, still from the example of my friend, if the members knew there was that money coming from Parliament, at least to cover a coffin and be able to give food to the people that will come to bury you, or even transporting the body to its burial place. If I knew there was that as me, Jackie, I think I would be reasonably comfortable. Even if I go, I know there will be something at least to start with or from. And so those were basically the 3 issues. One was about pension, inclusion, enhancement. The other was the support to burial expenses. And the third one was the health insurance. When we leave Parliament, we are not going to be young. We are continuously growing old, we are aging, but we must age gracefully. The diseases start attacking us. And so we realized we needed to push for health insurance covered for the former members of Parliament. That was the reason why we decided that let us now first move these first 3. But the only way we could push them was our relationship with the Parliament, was our relationship with the President. Not a relationship like you have to what, but a relationship as former members of Parliament, as an association that served this country. And that's when we wrote to the President. We actually did in 2021. We have had several meetings where I am private and has reminded him about this, and even said, oh yes, I would like to meet my elderly people. And they had requested Honorable Dr. Omona to fix an appointment for us. We thought if we got this opportunity, then we would be able to advance these issues face to face, so that he appreciates what we are going through and what we are asking and why we are asking for it. Correct. But relatedly also, we would also talk about Akasimo. Because of the press, I hope they will not pick this so deeply. It is already there. We had thought we would just write to the President, and when we are given opportunity, that's when we can talk to him deeply about this Akasimo without necessarily putting it on paper. The second strategic way to do it was through Parliament. Honorable members, all of these things we are talking about, this is home. And I want to welcome you. Thank you for coming home.
We are here.
Our prime years of our times, this is where we were for several years. We served this country diligently. It is like going back to your old school and support it. And just see where I used to sleep, the bed you used to sleep on, the chair I used to sit on. I sometimes see others go and wear the uniform of their former school. So the same applies to us here. So when we are coming here, and I am very, very happy for this very great achievement, let's clap for ourselves. Because when you go to the strategic objectives of the association, we are talking about visibility. We are now visible. Everybody now knows we have a connection with this great house. Our umbilical cord has now been again. The Speaker of Parliament and the institution of Parliament, today everybody knows we are here. We are not here illegally. We are here because the institution of Parliament, through the Speaker of Parliament, allowed us to come to this, the principles of Parliament. And in the future, if we want anything as a parliamentary alumni, requesting the Speaker or Parliament, they will respond because they know we are there, which was not the case before. Our relationship has begun with them today. And we want to thank the Speaker of Parliament, who is the head of this institution, because when we wrote to her about meeting with us executive, it took time, about 4 years. One time I remember I moved with my executive and Honorable Hindi and Honorable Salama Musumba and others. And we went to bench the Speaker's lounge waiting for her. But when she came out, she just went and we were unable to see her. But I was private again to a meeting where she was with the Deputy Speaker. And I said, but we wrote to you. We have been making reminders through your PA. We would like to meet you as an alumni of Parliament where you serve now. And then she called Honorable Tayebwa Thomas and said, please, can you listen to this issue and handle? A meeting was fixed for us of parliamentary executive with the Deputy Speaker. Which meeting we had, you must have seen also, we posted it on the platform. And it was a very big breakthrough for us as an alumni. Because in that meeting, we presented 8 things. One was that we wanted pension inclusive and enhanced. The second was that we wanted health insurance scheme, and that the percentage of I think it was also 30%. Then we also requested for support for burial expenses. Then we requested for a liaison office here. We requested for offering us business through consultancies. We requested for partnering with other associations on the globe, on the continent, and all these were acceptable to the Deputy Speaker, who noted them and said he was going to take them to the Speaker of Parliament, of whom they would discuss and get back to us. And our being here and inviting her as a guest of honor, we are looking forward to her making some pronouncements on those issues. We are going to have her later, and I think that will also be a very big achievement, because she knows we are there. It is not that these old people maybe they never happen to be there or something happened to them. And there is also going to be evidence to that, showing the time we are in Parliament, those who died, those who are still alive, and what. So, honorable members, those are some of the things we have been able to do. Though we did not call a meeting because of the circumstances for which we have told you, but we have been progressively every time thinking and working for POW. And we are sorry for anything that did not go well. It was not intentional. We wish POW the very best. And we continue to want to be all-inclusive and cohesive, to be able to push the agenda of POW. We have future plans, and one of those, of course, is the continued follow-up of those things that we had already started on. So whichever executive comes in place, they should make sure we don't lose out on that friendship, relationship that has already been established, so that these things can come to realization. It is one thing being promised, it is another having them being realized. But we are very hopeful that that will happen. Of course, have to invigorate the working groups. Under our strategic plan, we have 5 objectives. which are in your file. I will not go through them because of time. And these working groups will help us each individually to do concepts and prepare what activities we can do that will make PAO an association to reckon with and which we shall all be proud of. Another plan we had, of course, there are many things that have been proposed, which I will not go into now because of time, but because also we are starting a fresh mandate, a fresh agenda, and all of these things will be handled then to see whether we do investment club, whether we do what visibility, because the committees responsible will be able to start on that and have a very progressing PAO. I think with those remarks, I want to thank you once again for coming. You have made our day. It reminds me in the Bible of where you call a person, or you make a party and people do not turn up. As executive, we are very, very happy for the cooperation that you have had this time, and also for the support you have extended for the things that we have been doing. Anything short of our report, kindly bear with us. We wish you all the best in the proceeding agenda. I thank you. So you have had
I touched on the issue of the pensions law. We enacted it and provided a clause which deemed it to have taken effect from 2001. We attempted to push it to 1996, to the 60th Parliament, but I remember the debate was hot. And those members of the 7th Parliament, that is 2001 to 2006, by that time there was no contribution. Those members only went with a very small contribution from government. It was actually a trivial pension. Remember, for most of the 7th Parliament, I even remember our net pay was 1,140,000. We did a lot of work for, anyway, because of being patriots. Now, our argument is the rest of the parliaments from the 1st to the 6th really went with totally nothing. We have kept arguing in the board. When we talked about enhancement and also the issue of inclusion of previous parliaments, the current law gives a mandate to the board to deal with only those which the Act covers. That is up to 2001. But even then, those of 2001 to 2007 were given a trivial pension and went with literally nothing. So they are actually not even pensioners. They are not in a pension roll. Now, after a lot of, I'm privy to some of the ping-pong arguments we've had in the board, where we are now being advised that we better push for an ex gratia, which then can be, through the help of actuaries, be translated or be commuted into a pension. We don't mind, even if it is staggered, because it may not be possible to provide it in one financial year. So we have been trying to push that ex gratia is also not coming. This is related to what, if the Casimo could come, it would help us even to cater for this thing called the health insurance. It was because of this too much argument that recently, in fact last year, the law was amended. Sorry if I've taken so much time. The law was amended now to increase a contribution, mandatory contribution from the sitting MPs. That does not affect us. The sitting MPs are contributing 20% of their emoluments, of their salaries, towards pension, 2% of which is put aside specifically for post-retirement pension fund. So their contribution now is 20%, and government puts 30%. But of the 20%, 2% goes specifically for the post-retirement pension fund. It is still us out. That's why we are saying, with this voice, our limitation as a board, who's confined by this act, the Pensions Act of 2007, will now be, this kind of voice will now reinforce some of the arguments. So I think a concerted effort needs to go in that direction. And I want to thank the Power Executive for making that effort, and thank members that let's journey on. May God bless.
Honorable Chair, through you, let me first thank Honorable Chinobe. You know, I'm Mlugwar, I don't know whether the pronunciation is right. However, I want to thank you so much for keeping the momentum. You are fond of hijacking situations and solving situations. Thank you for saving power today. Madam Chair, I want to thank you with the executive so much. And for exceptional reasons, I want to thank you also for thinking big. Keep it up. You know, when you are talking, I was saying don't talk much. Sometimes when I'm excited, I don't want you sometimes to waste time. Because what you have done is something which is very, very remarkable. When I entered here, I started hugging people. I almost broke one of my legs. Because I was excited. I was happy to see my former friends. However, Madam Chairperson, allow me acknowledge that. But the wisdom of thinking big has made us come together and realize our togetherness. Madam Chairperson, when you are making your speech, you talked of the reasons why we should come together. With this little bit remindness, I want to think of Honorable Tim Lwanga. Honorable Tim Lwanga was one of the members of the 7th Parliament. He fell sick and he had kidney problems. He reached a time when he could not manage it. When he approached us, we came as a team. By then, Honorable Lumumba was the Secretary General of NRM Party. I'm sorry to mention this. We are here together. We have to talk about the good things we benefit when we come together. When I approached Honorable Lumumba about Tim Lwanga, she told me, I am rushing to see the president tomorrow. Give me those documents. I will give it to the president when he's in his mood. I think our colleague Honorable presented the documents, and State House managed to give our colleague $25,000 for kidney transplant. I want to thank State House for that. And this one clearly states that State House, the president does not forget the former members of parliament. And exactly what you are doing, you are heading us towards there. And I'm not going to talk about Casimo and what have you. I know the executives will push it. And for that, I don't want to waste too much time. I want to say that members, as we discuss this matter, we should discuss it very fast so that we elect our incoming executive. And I want to take this opportunity as member to inform us and to inform myself that when you are a mother and we bite, you know the speech which people are making is, you can bite your mother's breast, but tomorrow you come and you suck it again. You suck, even in the evening you suck it. Honorable Chatu Haire and your executive, I want to broadly stand here without even any shame to say that you have tried your level best. I see in my WhatsApp, you always send me to subscribe, to contribute. I don't contribute. I was scared when Chinobe mentioned those people who did not subscribe and what have you said. Wow, are they going to send me out now? Because I'm bad-mannered leader. But thank God the council members, the lawyers who are here, they did it. I was looking around, I saw Dora there, and then my colleague Ben Wacha, I said the situation is solved now. Now, the time of when it comes, members, let us think about the brainchild of this power. No, I'm not going to contest, but I'm going to campaign for these sitting members. Chatu Haire, long live Chisanja. We give you, you sat those years which were affected by COVID. Who doesn't know about COVID? was staying indoors. The young boys who are going out, I say, you people, you'll bring this thing for me at my age, I will not survive. 3 years, 4 years, things were not good, and you were also not good. You were hiding, we were hiding. And today the thing has come, we are giving you the chair so that we start afresh, and I do my subscription, and we continue. My treasurer, long live everybody. Thank you so much. And I'd like to say from the offset, I was in the 7th Parliament, and I was the chair of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, as well as Equal Opportunities Committee, vice chair of WOPA. So I was moving and shaking. So I'd like to say from the offset, I'd like to congratulate you, Honorable Jackie, and your team. You've done well. You've done well. Of course, you could do better, but you've done well. But I also want to say here and now that our secretary, your secretary of PAO, needs our support. He needs our support, Honorable Patrick Ocheng, and I hope that this will be taken up very seriously, because I would not say very much because of what the press and all. I want to bring it here. Secondly, because let's not pretend that all is well, because he's one of us. Secondly, I want to thank Honorable Gaude. Honorable Gaude, people have been saying, people have that they have given life, they have done what, but let me say it very clearly. Honorable Gaude was the life and blood of PAO. He mobilized money for people who are bereaved, and he got us together in a way which was extraordinary. So I want to thank you for choosing Honorable Gaude as the treasurer. God bless you. My third point is on the issue of, let us try to be modern. Let us be modern. Zoom meetings are possible. You just buy a few MBs, let us become .com, and you are able to meet. Because you may not all be able to come to Kampala, but you can come into a Zoom meeting and do some good work. So we need to move with the times. We need to be .com. And with that, I want to thank Honorable Beatrice Kiraso. Honorable Beatrice Kiraso and others who pushed for the symposium. For us, we came in as volunteers. And out of goodwill, let this not divide us. Because Honorable Chinobe, I would have loved to be part of your petition. I wish you had put that petition on the PAO platform. But now when you start giving petition to some people, it also becomes a point of division. Me, I talk straight. So let's be very honest with each other, and let's work together. Finally, good laws, good constitutions come out of crisis. Even the Universal Declaration for Human Rights came out of the 1945 World War. I think we need to go back to the drawing board and look at our constitution and refine it, because as you saw, we had a challenge. And Honorable Madam Chair, I'll be honest with you, and you know me, we talked at length about these issues and how to resurrect PAO. So it's very important that we go back to the drawing board and we look at our constitution and see how we can make it better. In conclusion, I remember Honorable Arisemera had an initial meeting of former members of PAO. We met in Chambogo. Some of you were there. You can put up your hands who were there. I can see Honorable Kabonesa. So this idea of PAO, let us not have a founder syndrome. Let us not have a founder syndrome. Let us embrace it, and let us be vibrant. We are energetic. We have the means. We have the power. And we should be able to use this space. I once again congratulate you, and I want us to heal. I think we may need counseling, because our PAO platform has been depressing of recent. Let it be a platform which is constructive. Let us not throw stones and be obnoxious. So for me, I'm pushing for unity, and I wish you the very best as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dora.
I'm Babadiri Margaret from the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th Parliament. And God willing, 12th and 13th. Okay. I would like to thank our executive very much for what they have done. Actually, this power, I've never heard of it. I think because I'm the latest entry to the alumni group. That's why I never heard of it. And secondly, I'm not in the WhatsApp because my communication phone is a Cabriti, and I have the iPhone, the number is different. So I would like to give my iPhone number so that I can get that communication. I think we need to emphasize the issue of health insurance. We are aging and we need treatment. This treatment is very costly. We have worked for this government. We have worked and the government has benefited from us. I think getting money for each one of us is not too much. Let us request and demand for the health insurance at least, so that we can take care of ourselves and live longer. That is my emphasis. And also, I don't know if there is a time for changing the constitution. I think 2 years are too few. I'm suggesting that we could increase to 3 years at least, rather than having every 2 years we are having General Assembly. Otherwise, I'm very happy because I've seen all my people from the 6th up to the 10th Parliament. I'm very grateful. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Virige Abwoli. I served in the 7th and 8th Parliament. The simple one. I remember when somehow, not really POW, but just what Honorable Dora has mentioned, something similar to POW was formed, and we used to attend in Chambogo. Honorable Semera was our chair. Honorable Semera was very active. She used to invite us almost every weekend, even sometimes, and would meet everywhere, anywhere, at any time. But when she was appointed, she became so busy that it was difficult, and it became so difficult for her now to even invite us for a single meeting. And because of that kind of gap, that is how we got the challenges that Honorable Charuhenda, at that time, the challenges we got through Honorable Charuhenda and the like. And that is how Honorable Jacqueline Chatwale realized that there is a big gap. And Honorable Jacqueline Chatwale realized that. She picked up this, and the idea of POW now came up, and all of us came on board. Honorable Jacqueline Chatwale also was appointed. Honorable Jacqueline Chatwale is a very close friend of mine.
Ekisooka ekifo kya Governor Bank of Uganda n'ekifo kya Deputy Governor Bank of Uganda, ezo offices ziri mu constitution y'eggwanga, so baziyita constitutional offices. Zirina okubeerawo, bw'oba teziriiwo oba abrogating the constitution. Kakati ono Deputy Governor tayinza kubeera Deputy Governor nga Governor taliyo mu mateeka, kubanga walina okubeerawo Governor then ne Deputy Governor. Era noono ekibuuzo kimulemye okuddamu Deputy waani. Naye kakati bw'oraba etteeka lye bakozesa erya Bank of Uganda Act, balinako Act ka Bank of Uganda, ko kagamba nti Deputy ayinza kukola nga Governor, naye constitution mu mateeka tikyandibadde kirungi. Era tusuubira nti ebizibu ebimu ebiri mu Bank of Uganda mu buweereza bwayo biva kuba nti Deputy akola yeka ate yandibadde akola ng'alina ne Governor. so ekyo kyekizibu kye tulabyeko. So nze nsuubira nti olina kunoonya governor who is the president ne ministry of finance kubanga ye mother ministry balina okulaba nti ekifo kya governor Bank of Uganda bakiteekemu omuntu banka esobole okutambuza emirimu gyayo. So obunafu obuli mu banka lwakuba nti omukono ogumu gukola omukono omulala teguliiwo. Kakati era kyekyo kubanga bwe twasisinkana bekikwatako era batugamba nti tebasobola kukimplementinga kubanga tewali tteeka. Kati etteeka eryo ekisooka omuntu ayagala nnyo etteeka Bank of Uganda, omuntu owokubiri Ministry of Finance. Kati bebandibadde babaga etteeka ne bagamba nti twagala etteeka lino kubanga tulina obuzibu ku kintu kino. So bwe bata bakireese era obunafu kubeera ki bubeera ku sayidi yaabwe. So era tusuubira nti obunafu obwe kimu ekibureese okuba nti Bank of Uganda terina maaso abiri ekozesa eriiso lumu. Now, constitutionally, the constitution is clear that the office of Governor Bank of Uganda and the office of the Deputy Governor Bank of Uganda are constitutional offices. So by us not having a Governor Bank of Uganda, then we are doing a disservice to our constitution, which is very wrong. According to the explanation, they are using Bank of Uganda Act, but the constitution is a supreme law. So when there is a supreme law, these other laws now, we don't look at them. So I think it is because this deputy governor is acting as a deputy governor, but the question is deputizing who when the substantive governor is not there. So the challenges and some of the weaknesses in the Bank of Uganda, my observation would be that it's because this deputy is putting in two shoes and he cannot handle. So instead of using the two eyes to oversee the bank, we now have one eye. That's why even some people are concerned why a deputy should sign on our legal currency when it is supposed to be the Governor Bank of Uganda, and the deputy is supposed to deputize in the absence, but where is the other and the substantive one? So that is one of the issues that we have been why we have been interacting with Bank of Uganda. So my advice is that the appointing authority, who is His Excellency the President, in recommendation by the Minister of Finance, we need the substantive Bank of Uganda so that the bank is able to do that. Now, still, when we are interacting with the Financial Intelligence Authority, they are saying there is no law. And who is supposed to bring the law? It is the Bank of Uganda as a main stakeholder, but of course, Ministry of Finance. So now, if there is no law, now there is a lot of gambling. That's why people have lost money through dubious companies that pretend to be operating when there is no law to regulate them. So the law is needed as yesterday because people are losing money, and at the end of the day, people are losing trust in the Bank of Uganda because it is the one in charge of our financial control. So I still go back to lack of a substantive governor or the deputy being overwhelmed that some of these loopholes are in the services of our banking sector.
Once you're healthy, you're in the correct side with your God, you're intellectually smart, you're working smart, you're humble, you're honest, you keep happy. And that's the first treatment to keep yourself very viable and strong. It has worked for me in my humble way. I know it can work for you. It can work for you very well. The second last point I wanted to drive home. We talked so much here about our welfare issues, but there is something very fundamental that I was waiting to come out and which I would like to mention with a lot of humility before you. The role of PAO in national development. This is an amazing asset. Knowledgeable people, senior people. I think we must be very candid to the leadership of the day. That yes, we could be in retirement, but we are not useless to the development of the nation. I was privileged to live for 10 years in Tanzania, and I related very well with the CCM party of Tanzania. The way the leadership of Tanzania treasures retired people and old people is amazing. So it is my appeal to the government, to parliament, and to society as well, that you must be treated with dignity and respect, and you must be allowed space to play your role in national development. And Madam Chair, in developing your strategic programs, try to find and define a very sensitive way in which this alumni organization can engage not only parliament, but even the executive, for us to make contribution to the national development of this nation. Finally, I would like to appeal to you that in everything you do, please, let's try to help our society to know the priority of the country. What is the priority or the developing agenda of Uganda? Many Ugandans out there are confused. They are lost. And you have a role to redefine, beyond just leadership, the population where you live. Our comparative and competitive advantage under the sun to make this nation develop can best be defined by you in your experience. Madam Chairperson, I don't know much to say. I'd like to respect the time of these elders here. I want to recommit to you again that anytime you invite me, I'll be present to listen to you and to share the humble points I may have to share with you. May God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The people who thought of looking for us and put us together and finally come up with a document, the Constitution, that we are now working under. You cannot imagine the great job that you did of putting together this big human resource. Most of us are in the evenings of our lives. It is not easy now to start looking for friends or making friends. If you go to somebody of 60, 70 years now and you say, I want you to be my friend, I want you to be my friend, you would be received with suspicion. That what is this man looking for? But here is a resource that has been put together, and we can access it and use it in our social, economic, and other needs. I was greatly impressed when our brother here, Honorable Hindi, lost a mother. And there was an appeal for people to share his grief with. And I saw people willingly and with love making contributions. People I had not heard of for very many years. And I was prompted also to come in. And these are the type of people I want to live with now when I'm in my advanced stage of my life. Because you can't imagine how encouraging it can be when you have a function be it good, be it bad. And you have people who have come to be with you 10, 20, 30. But here an association of people with whom we are in this parliament, amounting to about over 1,000 people who would be concerned that your son is getting married and they have to contribute the little they have. You're sick in hospital and they would care for you. Some would come to visit you. Or when you pass on, you feel the church when they are praying for you. You cannot imagine the dignity in which you would go. So, I thank you, members, for that wonderful spirit, and that's why I came forward to be with you. Amongst us, there are people who have succeeded in one way or the other. You had Honorable Kidega is doing farming in northern Uganda, and I'm very sure it must be modern farming. At one time, I read about Honorable Professor Latigo. I think he has a successful commercial farm. Many of you know what you're doing. Now, with this type of family, we can always appoint a day, and when the host is willing, we make a study visit in that region and learn more. Because I know each of us is preparing a home where he is retiring or has already had a home where he is retiring and where he will finally rest. And most people have activities, be it poultry farming, be it dairy farming, be it beef farming, and any other types of farming. Not all of us have had those chances. There are many who still want to learn from what you have achieved. So, you know, when you agree, we're having a study tour to the West, and about 50 people get interested. Then you go there. It's a stress relief because you meet colleagues, you relax, and you go and learn. So I think we should utilize this family, this association, to achieve some of those things. Of course, there are other social aspects. I read in newspapers and you see a certain school somewhere where the wind has blown off the roof. Some of us belong to voluntary and social organizations like the Lions Club, which is this other one, Rotary. It's not because those people are very rich, but when you put together the little you have, you may go and do something and then make an impact in that society as the alumni, parliamentary alumni. And then people would know that we are there, and although retired, we still have our country and society at hand. So we could break ourselves into regional clusters. I mean, the new executive that we are going to, so that we know that, let's say, people from northern Uganda, there we have 90 members. Eastern Uganda, we have so many members. So those members would identify areas which would be of interest to the members, and then sell the idea to the executive, and then we all go there, of course, on our pockets, because our association is still young. It has drawn ways of raising money, but when it is still in its infancy, we would have to budget. And you say, after 3 months, we shall be going to the west. After 5 months, we shall be going to the north. And this one, we shall strengthen the collegiality of our membership. I would wish to caution you, because I know each of us here has some political inclination. And very soon in 26, we are going into elections. There are those people who may wish to politicize our association. Let us remain neutral. You leave your politics outside there, but we remain neutral. Because when we start dividing ourselves on political grounds, we shall weaken our association. Even those people who would have come for this meeting will say, if so-and-so is there, may I want to go. You see? So let's remain neutral. We have done our part when we were still young. We are in the late hours of our lives. We thank God that some of us have reached where we are. Somebody was saying 74. In 2 years' time, I'll be 80. And in December, I'll be 50 years in marriage. And with this family, we can still try to, renew our spiritual power, spiritual life. Because we can always have prayer gatherings. We can, with those clusters, we can say now the prayers will be in a guru. Next time they'll be in Kabali. Next time they'll be, we can always budget for that time. And the money, you see, so that we feel each other and remain one family, one person. Of course, when I was asked to talk, I knew that there are so many people here who are wise, who are much wiser than I am, who have very wide experience in parliamentary practice. But that is a little that I'm able to offer to you, and I thank you very much for turning up.
Thank you very, very much, our senior, for that very good presentation. Can we give him another applause? You have touched on many things concerning our core objectives under the strategic